Hello again. Yes, you're right. The weather has picked up in Hartlepool a little bit. Actually, I've had a couple of days in the sun, in case you hadn't guessed. But you can have a couple of days in the sun. In fact, you can have much more than that if you are the winner of our Super 6. You could be in Dubai or Florida, the Seychelles, the Maldives. You could go to the lot. £250,000 will take you to all those glamorous destinations. That's what's at stake this week, as it is every week in Super 6. A guaranteed £5,000 consolation prize as well. And it's free to play. All we ask you to do is to correctly predict the scores of 6 of this weekend's games. 3 in the Premier League, and this week 3 in the Championship. So here's a check on those 6 games this weekend. In the Premier League, Cardiff against Fulham, Crystal Palace against Southampton, and Norwich against Stoke. And those Championship games are Derby against Millwall, Leeds against Bolton, and Yeovil versus Sheffield Wednesday. It has been a baptism of fire, hasn't it, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the Cardiff City manager. Full of bright-eyed enthusiasm when he arrived at the Cardiff City Stadium. Just wonder whether he's feeling that he has made a mistake. His side, second from bottom, not scored in the last 4 Premier League games. And this weekend, for Solskjaer and his side, it's the crunch, because they play the side who are below them in the table, the only ones, and that is Fulham. Also, of course, with a new manager in Felix Magath. Fulham perhaps have just shown a hint of improvement or two. They do have a good record at Cardiff. They've won on 6 of their last 8 visits. But it's simply the fact that Cardiff can't score a goal that makes me plump for the visitors. I'm going to go for Fulham to get off the bottom of the table with a 1-0 win. Crystal Palace have been terrific under Tony Pulis, no question about that. Whereas Southampton, they've just lost their way a little bit recently. Palace 5 clean sheets in 9 home Premier League games. Pochettino would have been proud with the number of Saints players called up for international duty this week, 9 at the various different levels. Now, they need to show the sort of form that got them those call-ups on the pitch, because recently Saints have not been great. Encouragingly for them, history's on their side. They've never lost to Crystal Palace in the Premier League. 9 meetings so far, but there's a first time for everything. And with Southampton in their present run of form, Palace's need is greater. I'm going to go for Palace to win this one by a 1-0. Chris Hughton's Norwich take on Stoke City at Carrow Road, and Hughton will be pleased that the home form of his side has at least held up, unbeaten in 4 home games, and more significantly, really, clean sheets in each of those last 4 home games. Their form away from home has rather wiped the smile off his face recently, hasn't it? And they were crushed, make no bones about it, in the first half at Villa Park last weekend. They come up against a Stoke City side, not one in a dozen away Premier League games. It was a great win over Arsenal last week, no doubt about that. But, 5 of the last 6 meetings between these two sides have ended 1-0 in one way or the other. So this is easy. For me, it's Norwich 1, Stoke City 0. Now to those Championship games, and we start with what looks like a mismatch on paper, doesn't it? Derby County against Millwall, battling at opposite ends of the table. Derby have won the last 4 home games really strong at Pride Park. Won 8 of the last 9, in fact, was Millwall. Well, there just hasn't been the upturn that fans would have hoped Ian Holloway would have brought to the club. Ollie's brought in a few players. They're taking time to settle. They've only managed 1 away win so far this campaign. And they're in dire straits, 1 point above the relegation zone. I don't see them getting anything this weekend, in truth. For me, it's Derby County 2, Ian Holloway's Millwall 0. Looking further down at the programme in the Championship, what a big game it is at Ellen Road as well. Leeds seem to say this every week. They're still in with a squeak of the playoffs, no more than that. And it's principally down to Ross McCormack. Now, he's teaming up with Connor Wickham these days as well. There was a bit of promise in that at Loftus Road last weekend in the 1-1 draw. They take on a Bolton Wanderers side who look safe now, 9 points off the drop, and who've not won away from home in 2014. So I go for a Leeds victory here. I think it'll be a narrow one. Leeds to win by 2-1. And down at Huish Park, it's Yeovil battling for survival against Sheffield Wednesday. Wednesday unbeaten in 9 away games. Their fortune's taken a real upturn under Stuart Gray. Mind you, Yeovil have done pretty well recently as well. They're unbeaten in their last 4 and they're off the bottom. But Sheffield Wednesday have won on every occasion that they've been to Yeovil. Only 3, admittedly, but they have won on every occasion. I see that run continuing. Wednesday, terrific on their travels to win by 2-1. So these are my thoughts on how the Super 6 games might turn out this weekend. I'm going to go for Fulham with a big 3 points for them at Cardiff in a 1-0 win. Palace to beat Southampton 1-0. The game between Norwich and Stoke to end as it always does, 1-0, this time to Norwich. Derby to beat Millwall by 2-0. Leeds to beat Bolton by 2-1. And Yeovil 1, Sheffield Wednesday 2. £250,000 at stake. That guaranteed consolation prize as well of £5,000. And it is free to play. How do you play? Just go to skysport.com/Super 6 or you can download the app. And as usual, the very best of luck to you.